I'm Jen Hicks. I'm the gallery owner and director. We're going to do a little housekeeping, and then I'm going to pass the baton on. We have, let's see, we've got 2 exits. So those are things I have to say at the beginning. Exit, 2 bathrooms. Everybody always asks me, they're right there on either side. Please turn your cell phones to quiet. What else? We have this wonderful show. I'll do a brief introduction. And this all is related to Earth Day, Earth Week. So all the artists that are showing are artists that are interested in the reusing of materials, I guess that's the way to put it, or bringing attention to materials that have been discarded, and reconfiguring them and giving them a new voice anyway. And each of them have a very different voice, which I love. So we've got Renee Moncada in the front, Sabrina Troche over here, Christy Rupp is here, Elizabeth Keatline is behind you, and you've got Christina Varga and Nina Young in the back. Please, a lot of the artists are here. If you're an artist here, raise your hand. Look, girls, just well, you guys aren't part of the show. These are part of the show. So, this circle right here. So, please talk to them after, and we can kind of spark that conversation. I'm going to pass this along now, Mary. Very nice.
Or Candy Palmer was going to.
Okay. This is very informal.
And it's going to get more informal. It's going not downhill, but.
All right, I'm stepping out.
And since I just got the assignment, forgive me for reading it. The joy in fighting climate chaos. Join us for thank you for joining us for this interactive gathering to embrace the fact that all our remaining years will be marked by climate chaos and how to face the resulting oncoming storms of all kinds. Ray Bergen, Ph.D. has spent 50 years talking with people about how communities can better work together. This is sure to be a lively Saugerties Earth Day week event in the perfect venue.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will stress the perfect venue part. It really is perfect. So, I've been formulating thoughts, and I've been doing some writing, but this is my first exposing out in the open what I have to say. So it's kind of like coming together at the same time as I'm doing it. And so that's why it's very much something that I want to do interactively with people's comments and go from there. But the start of it is that I'm not trying to be scientific, but I've been told that roughly the pollution that is now affecting climate change is from 40 years ago. So if we do nothing, we have 40 more years of, it's going like this, now it's starting to go like this, starting to go up like that. We have 40 more years of climate storms of one kind or another. And since that is, if we stop, we didn't stop today, so if we stop tomorrow, there'll be at least 40 more years. And we're probably not going to stop tomorrow, so we could add another 10 to 20 years. And we'll be roughly around 60 years of increasing storms, and climate change itself is what is causing a kind of dis-ease that is showing up in politics, economics, all over the place. And so that's going to increase. And so it's going to be 50, 60 years of chaos that we are looking at. And that makes it that most of us will not be around then. We're going to miss the good part of it, the total collapse. So there's there are people who've been studying there's a guy named Peter Dugan. Has anybody heard of Peter Dugan? We got one nod. He's written, and then there's somebody more recently who I don't know, but I've heard about. He's written about different societies like Rome collapsing and these different things. And there's somebody who has written, and I don't think it's him, I think it's somebody else, who has written like the whole how collapse happens and has put us in stage 4 of a 5-stage system of collapsing. And of course, stage 5 is the collapse itself. So that's where we are, and that's what we get to live, and more so our children and grandchildren and even our grandchildren's children are going to really be the ones carrying the brunt of this whole thing. One of the differences now is that it's planetary. It's going to be the whole planet that is affected. When I think of just myself and around here, I remember I've been around here for a while, over 50 years, and I remember when it was 20 below was not unusual, even around here. I remember one year where it snowed on Thanksgiving and didn't stop till spring. It was snow on the ground.
Like this year.
like this year, except it went back and forth, yeah, and it didn't start at Thanksgiving, but yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Yep. And you probably all have memories or thoughts. I mean, this year I didn't go, but up until this year I spent winters in Panama, and people are actually moving out of the low areas. It's already happening up to the mountainsides because of the climate. It's down there. It's not so much that it's hotter, which it is, but they have these things called the trade winds, which it could be 90 degrees, and you don't have to turn on the air conditioning because the breeze goes through. And for the last 3 years, there has been no trade winds.
Wow.
No trade winds, and so people, mostly the Americans and other people going down there are moving out of along the ocean, moving up into the mountains already, and you probably have many stories similar. I have a niece who lives in Arizona. that's what we're looking at. And, see if anybody else has anything, any experience like that. You can imagine what it's going to be like 10, 15, 20 years from now, even here. You know, we have, I understand that we're in an area that with the climate change, we're gonna get an increased amount of moisture. But even here, the last 3 years, every late spring, there's been a drought, and each year it's been increasing.
And each year, for the last few years, summer started almost like several weeks earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get this incredible variability. We get earlier heat, and then all of a sudden we're hit with a cold spell, right?
Yeah.
And this variability is affecting farming, planning. Where do you live? Stress on people, because you can't predict anymore what exactly the weather is going to be, and it's very tough. Especially in coastal areas where slack, sorry to point that out. But we get it up here.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely, I don't like high humidity, I really don't, and heat, I don't do well, I'm from Europe. I don't like it. Some people love it, I don't. And I notice when it comes to, because it changes my whole schedule for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Or the bugs, right? Remember the deer dying off from that small virus thing that came with a hurricane? I'm not sure if that's actually climate change related, because that's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But if the frequency increases, that's climate change related.
Well, I think about in the Hudson Valley area how we're known for our tomatoes and our apples, both of which don't like a lot of rain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been seasons, where the apple orchards didn't even bother opening because their apples just got all rotted and, so what's gonna happen to the whole economy of farming up here?
Yeah,
They're gonna have to change, and that's huge. Think of all the trees, the fruit trees we have here that are.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday who said their cherry blossoms, froze. And
Yeah, they just had those
This
apple
week.
orchards
And
that
it's
had the
probably-
fires
it's
and the
probably gonna-
helicopters, I didn't even know about
Yeah.
The
that.
what?
The fires and the helicopters in the orchard because of the cold snap that we had, apparently the helicopters go low for the orchards so that they stir up the hot air, I guess, or something to keep the orchards from freezing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different fluctuations that are.
And it's going to increase because that warm weather that produces them gets them to get ahead of themselves, and then inevitably a couple of cold nights come like now.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, I'm a rescuer of
Yeah.
cats, or have been for many years. And actually, the females stay in reproductive mode for most of the year now.
Oh, wow.
It used to be that it was seasonal, but now cats are giving birth all the way up until December.
Mm.
Why is it?
Because everything's so much calmer. It's been calmer. It's been warmer around, So their bodies are just reacting to it, and the seasons they're not stopping with being in heat in September because their babies might not make it through a harsh winter. So they're having more babies, which doesn't help the situation.
But was it always very windy here? 'Cause
No.
I've noticed, I've been here officially since 2014, moving here, and I had come up a lot before that, and I don't remember the high winds, and since I've been here, we've had
No, it's
tornadoes and
It was never.
it's crazy.
It's awful.
It's relatively new. This hasn't.
It's very relatively new, like within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and like I said, you multiply this another 50 years where it's increasingly intense. You know, we know about the oceans heating up really fast and all those things, and but you imagine.
But they do have scientists that are working on, you know, these issues.
They
that are
do.
Trying to find solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as long as we are polluting,
Right.
I don't see it stopping. I don't see the polluting stopping.
is what?
It's,
Go off the humans.
Susan, say
Huh?
it again.
I look at why we're in the situation that we're in, what brought us to this point, and all of the factors that brought us here, I don't see them stopping.
They haven't changed.
They haven't changed.
They haven't changed, yeah.
There's still the greed and the power madness and the and the corporate impunity and
yes.
and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
Yeah.
that brought us to this place.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
I
which
don't
makes
see it
it
stopping.
pretty inevitable.
And the fact that people with enough resources can insulate themselves.
Mhm.
You know, they can
think.
they can live in their air conditioned, you know, castle on the hill kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, and
Come the revolution, babe.
dream on.
Well,
We thought we had a revolution back when I was a young woman.
But it's cyclical, these things.
Yeah.
You know, you have
Cyclical.
to, I think people are really, it's starting to genuinely feel this
Mhm.
across the country
yeah.
on many levels. And, you know, I think it's time for people to really speak out and hold their, the government to task for
yeah,
doing something. I mean, it's insane.
it's not us blowing bottles out of plastic, hundreds of thousands of them, and creating beverage containers and all that stuff. That's not us
No.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yet they give us the guilt
Mhm.
for not recycling, which is, as we all know, not really recycling. It's
Right.
not actually being recycled. And, you know, they're blaming people when it's corporations who are like, this is profitable, easy, cheap, and we can make lots of it and make lots of money. And look at Christie's piece here. I mean, look at,
Yeah.
that's just one tiny section.
Mhm.
I do take exception to that because we buy the stuff.
No, we do buy the stuff.
So,
But,
Yeah.
and we can try to buy things in paper and grow as much food as we can, but so much is packaged in plastic, it's just.
Okay, I have a
Oh, it's
question.
don't buy
Yeah.
it. Don't buy it.
I have a question.
Really?
Who here has written to their legislators asking them in Albany to please pass
the
the
bill.
packaging reduction act?
Absolutely,
I have not.
several times, several
Okay.
times.
On my list.
Everybody.
You know, yeah, so obviously, if it keeps increasing, you know, it's just gonna get worse. Obviously, I'm very oversimplifying it. And it's just gonna get worse and worse until there is a change, or we die. I expect that before we get eliminated from the earth, we will get it together. Because when you look at history, and there's only two ways that change happens. And one is because we hit rock bottom, things get so bad, there's no other way but up. And that's inevitable. That's gonna happen. And the other way is what I call love, or sharing, or joy. The three words for kind of the same reality. And if you use addiction, because it is an addiction that we're talking about. Like addicts, they're either going to hit rock bottom, which usually includes going to jail or getting a DUI or something, or their life collapsing, their marriage breaking up, or getting fired. It's that kind of hitting rock bottom where we start to move up. And the other one is love, like you fall in love with somebody, or you run into a real support group or something like that. And those are the two ways that we're facing.
I get one.
You do? All right. That's what we're gonna talk about today. That's what we're gonna talk about today.
I really believe in humanity.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna evolve, we are evolving. I think there's a lot of awareness and consciousness that's developing that's not in the headlines. I definitely think we're gonna evolve to people and planet over profit. It's just, it's inevitable that that's gonna happen. I have another perspective on climate change. I think we're smart enough that, yes, there are issues we gotta address that are negative, we gotta look at. Hey, sell your Jersey Shore property, move out from South Florida. Those are inevitable, those things are gonna happen. There are negative things that are gonna happen. I look at it from the other perspective, and that is that climate change can present us with opportunities to develop sustainable resources. More wind, obviously, wind power. More water, hydropower. There's so many ways to generate electricity from hydropower. There's a way that when the tide goes out, it creates electricity.
Yeah.
The tide comes in. Well, the tide's going in and out all the time. If there's gonna be more hour reasons, solar, and obviously wind power has great potential as well. And you talked about, what happened to the apple crop. The other side of that, and I've had conversations with local farmers, and they say, you know what? We have a longer growing season now. We're able to rethink how we're gonna do things, and perhaps this season will grow long enough to have 2 growing seasons. So, though I agree that we have to look at those negative aspects that are happening, I think if we begin to develop a more positive vision of how we're gonna evolve and use this, and we're smart enough to develop the technology and the way to do those things. Anyway.
I actually agree with that. You were gonna
I
say.
would love to add something to it. I love what you brought up with people managing profit and that people and planet will eventually win over profit, but right now we are also being hit with AI. And the amount of misinformation can be used by the profit side to really continue, which has been going on for quite a while, to continue providing all this information that is distracting and that is not, it's distracting from the science and what we're experiencing, that is saying, oh, it's not man-made.
And it's an energy stuff
It's
too.
none of that.
Yeah.
All that energy.
So it's a real big up and down.
Their days are numbered.
I think so.
Their mindset is not sustainable.
No, it is,
Whose days are numbered?
The greedy ones.
The what?
The greedy people.
The greedy people. Well, that's probably the essence of today's conversation, because as you said, there's these parallel kind of, we're collapsing, and at the same time, there is another energy, and of course, that is being positive, and they're both like this, but there's no doubt that and when we change, when we do this evolutionary leap or jump, that is inevitable. So I also agree. It's to look at it positively, but it's going to be pretty miserable.
But talking about disinformation, I tried to run a Facebook ad for this event, for the thing, and Meta said no, because climate cannot. It's a social, political issue. Yes. Well, I'm just saying, this is what's going on in the AI world.
Well, there's gotta be climate change hires so that we have someone to
You're not
sell
allowed to even
all
say
the-
it, exactly.
so we can sell the low-lying property to somebody.
Right, right.
So someone's still gonna buy it, cause they're still in denial.
Listen,
But not
AI,
surprising,
AI is really powerful,
yes.
and it can be powerful for good as well. I use it, and I don't call it AI, I call it EI. I call it extended intelligence.
Oh,
It
that's
just
nice.
extends my intelligence in huge multiples in which I can use it. And you know, like every other technology, it's what you put in is, you know, what you're gonna get out. And there's ways of controlling it in a positive way. So I'm not afraid of it at all. And I think they're gonna solve the one big question is, well, boy, it certainly uses a lot of energy.
It does.
It certainly uses a lot of water.
And they teach you
No,
how
I
to
just say
spell.
politically, you know, you can get anybody to say anything.
They kid doesn't spell, doesn't know how
And
to
that's
spell.
only gonna get more intense, so it's good.
Go ahead with the next.
Yeah.
AI is not how to spell.
And that's why we need to.
It's not how it's spelled.
It does not know
Real
how
reporters
to
and,
spell.
Yes.
It's
Ray, get us under control.
Well, this brings us, you know, like I said, like we're talking about the two different energies, and they are two different energies. One's pulling us down, the other one's trying to build us up, and which leaves me. I mean, when we talk about the joy of fighting climate chaos, it's a contradiction in there, but purposely in there. Because with all of the technological advances, we're going to be needing them. But the biggest advance outside of, and even bigger than all the technological advances, is our own inner advancement.
The we against the me. I mean, we're such a me culture.
Yes, we are an extremely me culture. Yeah. So that's where the word joy, I'm using the word joy, and it comes from the fact that our task on this earth is not about doing, it's about being. And how to be, and again, how to be in joy. And when we were kids, as children, we were born in joy. You look at little kids, and they are, you know, whether they're in a ghetto or a castle, they're joyous, and they're brimming with joy. And, you know, it's contagious is one of the reasons as adults and older people, we like to be around kids, because they have this joy. And yet, at the same time, this joy that kids have is what I think of as like seed. It's just a seed. Our life is about growing that joy. And of course, part of growing it is, you know, as we go through life, we lose it. And, you know, joy is the kind of thing when our world is not the way we want it to be. It's not going the way we want it to go. That's the issue, or how joy gets trimmed, diminished, you know. And it starts when we're little babies, and you know, we're hungry and the nipple's right there. We get satisfaction, you know, and then we start growing up and we want the attention, and the mom says, no, not now, I'm on the phone. You know, our first experience is our world not going the way we want it to go. And that continues. And as we grow older, you know, it increases, and certainly it's increasing now. And our task is how to have that joy while the world, our world is not being the way we want it to be. And most of you know, I'm a therapist. I don't call myself a therapist anymore. When people ask me what I do, so you don't have to ask me, I'll tell you. I just say I talk to people. Because people call me and they say, I want to talk to you. And, you know, one group of people that I talk to is people who are aging, like myself and like many of us here. And that's what the main topic is as we're getting older, is how to get that joy back, how to experience it again. And I just a brief story. When I was in my 20s, I was driving a car, my mother and my aunt, and we were driving to Fargo, North Dakota. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and our nearest metropolis, 40 miles up the road, is Fargo. And that, if you watch the movie Fargo, it has the opening scene of this road with all this fog and stuff, and that's the road we were driving on. Now it's parts of it are 4-lane, then it was a 2-lane. So we're driving down this road, it was winter, and I'm passing this semi, and I hit a patch of ice, you know, and you know the car starts going like this, and with the semi right alongside of me, and I really felt like I was riding a chariot to my death, and you know it's still vivid in me, you know. And what happened was my life passed before me. I actually experienced looking back and judging my life. You know, this thing we call the final judgment when we go before St. Peter, it really does happen to us. It's really an experience. And of course, it happens internally. There's no St. Peter standing there, you know, if there's anything to judge, our own judging ourselves. And my experience is that we judge ourselves fairly, you know, positively. We're good judges of ourselves, or benevolent judges or something. And there ain't no pearly gates.
We tip the scales a little.
What?
We tip the scales a little.
We do, yeah. I mean, all this happened in a few seconds. Obviously, I didn't die, and the car went off the road, of course, and managed to hit nothing. And the trucker helped us get out and get on the road, and we drove down to Fargo. But I experienced with when I'm talking to people coming of their own, you know, getting older, we all are in some form doing that very same judgment of ourselves, and that's what getting older is. You know, that's what we do. We're trying to get back to that place of joy, and the options are really pretty black and white. We're either going to get there and have joy. The image I like to use is you know, going across that finish line with our arms raised and cheering
Into the abyss.
into the abyss. Yes, or just like sort of crawling in grumpy regret. Those are the two choices we have. So, when I'm thinking about, climate change and all the disasters, because there's gonna be all kinds of, the disasters we're having, say, with Mr. Trump, they're not gonna go away when he goes away. They're gonna continue. We're gonna go downhill, and we're gonna face our world not going the way we want it to go. And the only way to fight that, and the way to fight greed and all these issues, extreme unregulated capitalism, is with joy. And as we know, if we're looking 50, 60, 70 years, a lot of it also includes how we pass that on to our kids. They're gonna carry the brunt of it. So what I'm recommending or seeing is that we actually our task is a warrior task, to be warriors of joy. So that's how we are going to fight what's ahead of us. And just, as we get older, we get more in touch with that, but our whole life is, as I said, starting out as a kid, I mean, it keeps getting we're like a plant. And we keeps getting trimmed and cut, and, sometimes down to the root, where these disasters happen, and, whatever happens, marriages break up, whatever, all that stuff that happens. And how are we going to maintain that joy and be a force? That's the way I think of it. So just take a couple of minutes and just be with yourself and think about, now, we're gonna talk about how to nurture joy. It's good, but just take some time, a couple of minutes, and either close your eyes or not, and just think of what that means to yourselves. As we've kind of had, there's the force of I won't call it evil, but there's the forces.
It's evil.
You can call it evil. There's the force of joy up against the forces of greed that we were talking about, and extreme materialism, all the things that are creating anxiety in us. If you have joy, you're going to create peace in yourself. So
Okay, we got some contradictions here. We got a warrior for joy,
warrior
joy creating peace, and
Yes.
pushing against to become something else.
Think of
And
Minneapolis.
I think of
There was joy there. So much
fighting
joy.
is pushing against, and I don't think you get where you want by pushing against what you don't want. The things that I gravitate toward, the teachings that really are about focusing on what you want and not spending any time at all worrying about what everybody else is doing, and representing and standing here on the planet for joy. And not saying I'm a warrior for joy, that just seems like bizarre to me. I understand what you're saying, it's being a determined, you're standing on the planet for joy, but it isn't the same as pushing against against everything that's not joy, which is what warrior feels like.
Well, I purposely do use the word warrior. For a reason. You know, when I'm talking warrior, I'm not, you know, there's different kinds of warriors. I'm not talking about, you know, the foot soldier who's out there doing what the commander tells him to do. I'm talking about the interdisciplined samurai or knights or you know, the ones who spend their life creating in themselves. It's the same as being centered. It's the same as being, we call it joy or peace, but it's being centered in joy. And the kind of warrior, you know, the reason I use the word or term warrior is because it's a discipline. It's a discipline. Warriors do two things. We do live in this planet, and you know, I don't think we're going to stop doing what we're doing with Earth Week, you know, protesting or things like that. I'm not advocating that we do nothing. I'm only advocating that we do it from that centered place of joy. And a samurai, a warrior.
May I address this? I think that you're both right.
Now I'm happy.
Yeah.
Joy, see?
Oh, good.
I think that I'm thinking a lot about, you know, what happens when we get caught in the polarity of that question is we don't solve. And where we're looking around the world to seeing solutions, we're seeing, especially in Europe, but all over, China too, they're solving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not two, it's one. And in order to solve, we have to understand that we have all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a different approach that I think would serve us better than I'm happy, I'm not happy. It's conflict, it's not conflict, it's warrior, it's peacemaker. It's us, and we're here, and we're thinking, and we're solving. And we're looking around the world to, if anybody saw the New Yorker article last week about the sponge, there's an idea that was always present in the world, which was that you had barriers that soaked up moisture.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, many around the world now are looking at this in a different way.
You mean like
That,
wetlands?
we actually need, you know, mangrove swamps.
Yeah.
Let's get that back.
Yeah.
So we're solving.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best thing to bring.
We are solving as we slide downhill.
Well, but there's also the Japanese scientists that have developed the plastic that biodegrades within 6 months, just in open air or water, so that is really exciting. And then I love all the 10 young surfers that are collecting plastic from the gyres. They've got all these boats and shit out in the middle of the ocean, and they're doing good work, and they're so handsome and young, and you're like, wow, look at these people doing this really important work. And all the people cleaning the sludge and the plastics out of the rivers that go to, so you know, there's people who are passionate, like some of us here, or most of us here, I would guess if we're here, that this is like a serious problem. But also, I mean, when did they start making plastic? What, in the 60s?
50s.
In the 50s.
And then they ramped it up
Yeah.
the oil prices because they knew they weren't going to sell as much oil.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, you know what, we'll make more plastic.
Yes, that's exactly plastics. It's exactly what I tell everybody when I'm thinking about it. And so, you know, so what, that's 1950, let's just give it 2050, so we've got 100 years of plastic.
Yep.
And that's a finite problem, even though it's everywhere. And I mean, in my garden, there's plastic. Well,
In your body.
in our body. But what I'm saying is we've had 100 years and we've churned all this stuff, and I know that they're forever chemicals and all that stuff, I know it doesn't go away. I'm not saying it's a finite problem and that it will stop being a problem. I'm saying that we have had 100 years to make a mess, and in 100 years, we can probably, if we're innovative and creative, figure out how to take that mess. There's the young fella from Africa who was making gasoline out of plastic. I don't know if anybody saw that. So there's a lot of different creative thinking, and I'm very positive and psyched about those people. But I think corporate responsibility is where it lands. And
Corporate responsibility is
That's a
absolutely.
oxymoron.
And that hasn't changed.
No. They,
What do you think about the microplastics, which I don't see, all the solutions you're talking
Yeah,
about, which
well,
I agree,
yeah.
and are good things, but we have microplastics in every living creature, in our soil, in the trees, in our bodies, in the infants being born, and the formula they get. And sometimes I wonder if that's why we've kind of gone off the deep end lately.
Could be.
Are the microplastics really affecting our brains?
There's a, yeah.
Yeah, Marguerite, you were gonna
There's
say.
an
There's a
apocalyptic
talk about it tomorrow, isn't there,
Yes.
detox me?
Yeah.
Tomorrow at
Yes.
Orpheum?
At the Orpheum, it's here,
Yeah.
And what
Judith
time?
Hank and.
2
at
o'clock.
2 o'clock to
2 o'clock.
4.
Oh, that's exciting.
Must go to.
I don't
Yeah.
think I'll be able to go to that, but, there was like an apocalyptic story about how everybody ends up dying because fungus are growing out of their ears.
Yeah.
Does anybody know that? You don't know that? I don't know, but see, the thing is that they've created fungi that eat plastic, and you can imagine how that could spore-like spread, and if we do have plastic in our body, it starts coming out of our ears and noses, you know, because that's, fungus doesn't care, spores are really tiny. You cannot breathe that in.
I'd like to bring this,
It's true.
I'd like to bring this discussion back to the concept of being a warrior.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It's not a concept that I easily relate to. I think it's possibly because it tends to be, everybody's gonna jump on me now, a gendered term,
Yeah.
right? As a woman, I just never think in terms of being a warrior.
Yeah.
I think
you are
Yeah.
a warrior.
Yeah, when I moved up here, all I saw were Amazon women. That's what I thought, all Amazon
Okay,
women.
okay.
Not only does it, in my mind, it apply to women, women are the ones who are gonna save the world.
That is
Yes.
true.
But not by being warriors.
Richard's right.
That we are over, our solutions are, the masculine solution, if there's a problem, let's go to war. That's not the feminine solution. And so, but, I wanna go back to that our personal reason here is not about doing, we can do all these things. It's about being, and being in a warrior state has 2 parts to it. One, because it's retraining ourselves to, and in this case, to operate from a centered or loving place. That's what's gonna really change everything. Even with all of these wonderful innovations that we're all waiting for and celebrating when they come. What's gonna really change when you get down to it, 40, 50, 60 years from now, and we're in it, is that the centered, enjoy people are active. And by being a warrior, it's twofold. One is our training ourselves, and the other is, as we've talked about, being able to see what we're facing. A warrior wants to know if he's gonna charge over that hill, that there's only 5 people and not 50 people that are gonna get him. So it's not about not looking at or dealing with the outside world, but the inner work is to face our own fear, which I hear more and more about, from people even getting street, just taking a bad dinner or something, and they encounter a house on fire with somebody screaming. And they rush in and they pull that person out. And they're, of course, declared a hero. You know, because it's an action. Next day, he's still walking down the street trying to figure out dinner. But what made him the hero or the warrior was, oh, I should have said a woman walking down the street. There's a woman walking down the street, and she sees somebody screaming, a guy screaming in the house. What made the hero was not running into the house, but facing his own or her own fear about running into the house. Once he or she faced the fear, then running into the house was just something you do. And that's, you know, that's why I call it being a warrior, because there are so many fears that we're having. You know, we can think of, I think we could all think of instances in our life where, you know, where fear of doing something immobilized us. Fear of doing something stopped us from something.
I think it's an energy though. I mean, I use it like warrior energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when, like my friend's niece is fighting leukemia, you know, and I call her the little warrior.
Yeah.
Because she's so courageous and she keeps her joy, you know, and she's playful, but she's really going through a lot. Or even an adult, I will use it in the same term. And to me, that isn't what a warrior energy is, you know. So to me, it's like an energy, male or female. Yeah.
You know, I love, it's interesting you say that, but I just think, I love the concept of joy.
Yeah.
We all love the concept of
Yeah.
joy. I mean, just to think about joy, just changes our vibration, you know? And it just, to me, the key is, what's the vibration we want to bring into the planet? You know, that's what we want to do. And joy is one of those feelings that is nothing like it. You know, it's not being sad. You know, being sad when you're joyful. You know, it's just that a warm feeling, and that vibration that you radiate out is so positive out there.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do, or I won't say nothing, but it has little to do with, for instance, the feeling of happiness. Happiness is an emotion that is fleeting, whereas joy is an experience, even on a day when we're getting bad news about something, we can still have what you were saying about your niece, like there were.
Or my friend's niece.
Your friend's niece, that's joy, and it's not an emotion like happiness or sadness. You know?
So I'm confused. Being a warrior, isn't that about oppositional energy?
That is a kind of a traditional thought about it, but I don't see it that way.
You don't?
We're not in opposition to anything. We're just.
We're not.
We had, you know, our living in or being centered in joy certainly is going to go in contrast with the rest of the world, but and in that sense be in opposition, but we're not fighting anybody. You know, we're doing our job, or if we're out protesting, we're doing whatever we're doing, but we're still, that's just what we're doing.
Well, also I think the joy lets you face your fears, and warriors have a certain amount of fearlessness as well.
Yeah.
It seems more productive to focus on what you think warrior represents to you instead of using that word, because by definition it has the word war in it and it's oppositional. by definition.
And
But
I,
you're talking about things that are not necessarily within a pushing against oppositional scenario. You're talking about being strong within and having the whatever it takes, whatever its strength
Yeah.
to do what needs to be done and to be the change you want to see and
Yeah.
and
What do you
all of
think
that,
would be
but
a
to
good word
take
for that?
action. But it doesn't have to be by pushing against when you're focusing on the other guy all the time instead of what you want to see instead. You've got, it's like, well,
yeah,
It's
I admit
focusing on
that I
what you don't want
purposely,
instead of what you want.
that I purposely phrased it in an oppositional, two opposites that don't go together.
How about this? I
Because
have-
part of,
so,
part of life.
I'm just loving the
That's
title
what
of,
we're facing,
the
that's what
title.
we're facing.
of
Yin
your
and yang.
presentation is the joy in fighting climate
Yeah.
chaos. So we got our joy in fighting right here in the
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. But I just wanted to add, because it's so interesting, what about living your purpose, right? Living your inner purpose, which is joy. And you're a warrior for living your inner purpose, so you're not opposing anything on the outside. You're actually being in that centeredness where you're
Yeah.
guarding your inner purpose,
Mhm.
and your purpose is to live in joy.
But I think that when we're talking about climate change,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have to talk about community, so it's not all inner.
That's
It's about
right.
what we bring
That's right.
to the
Yeah.
community and our energy and joy and purpose there,
Growth
so.
and
Right, and if you bring
nurturance
the
and
fight-
tolerance and, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So Asheville
right.
exists, for example.
Yeah. Can I bring in Asheville a little later?
Sure.
Because when I think, of course, the question is, how do we nurture this joy? How do we grow it? How do we live it? And in my mind, there's three ways. The first way I'm calling self, like opening to it in ourself, the way kids do. And another way of saying that is meditation. I'm not using the word meditation, but it would fit in there. Being with ourselves. What I say is that it's about breathing. I mean, there's nothing more important in our life than breathing. And the older we get, the more we experience the shrinking of our breathing. So if people ask me or talk to me about it, I just say, I don't do meditation, but I do breathing. Just sit there, eyes open, eyes closed, whatever, and breathe. Fill our lungs. And it's amazing, you did it for 10 minutes a day. You've changed your energy. And you can even do it for 2 minutes once you're used to it, and it changes your energy. The other way is through nature. Obviously being with nature. Nature has that same irrepressible joy that children have. You may be out there may be half as many birds as there used to be, but those birds are singing just the same way. There's a friend of mine, and some of other people here, Judy. There's a marker on the beach in Saugerties that was put up last year, and it's honoring the Lenape, the native people who live here. And when the woman who put the marker up and who was doing the ceremony mentioned this term on the earth. We are here to be with the earth. And that, you know, for me, that has changed my whole understanding, you know, of earth and us. Just, we're part of the earth, we're with the earth. You know, if you ever, and which probably most of us do here, do composting, whether it's veggies or meat, you see, it's all dirt. And we are what we eat. You know? We are just energized dirt, like all the rest of us. And we, you know, and to recognize, huh?
Soil.
Soil.
Dirt is pretty void.
All right, soil. We are energized soil. You know, with science. The more we get into science, the more they tell us about how everything is. We're all just energized being. We're all energy. Energy pulsating through everything, and we're just the different forms of energy, and the distinction between spirit and matter gets looser and looser. You know? Why people, when they're dying, can go away, or even if you're in a coma, you come back and say, I was here, I was there. You left your body, you've gone. You know, there's the back and forth is much more porous, and I don't know that we'll ever experience being with the earth the way that the indigenous people do. They have a concept of the earth. Thanks to Christoph, who told me about it, also introduced me about it. Where the earth, where there's being, you know, earth is, animals are beings like us, the river is beings like us, the trees are beings like us, you know. And when you look at it molecularly, the whole planet is like one animal. And we're just, you know, just like us as beings, we have some invisible creature crawling around our, annoying us. You know, that's all we are and you know, so the idea of being with the earth is so enriching. I don't want, we could go on for a long time about that, but yeah, you're agreeing.
It's like 5 minutes.
Oh, another 5 minutes and we're done? I don't have a clock. I don't have a, she's in charge.
So what's the third thing?
What's the third?
Third thing, yeah, we better get to the third thing. The third thing is the whole point of this whole thing. It's about sharing. The other way we connect, because it's all about connecting with joy. The other way we connect with joy is through people, through sharing, through forming communities. And like you mentioned, Asheville, every time there's a disaster now, people who are experiencing that disaster start forming communities. And you know, I don't know how many disasters it's going to take before we all start doing that. But sharing our community, being in a community and sharing with each other and supporting each other is the other way that we are going to grow joy, peace in ourselves. And of course, as somebody brought up, it's us uniting together in that joy that is going to really empower all of us. And I you know, I'm thinking of Saugerties, Woodstock, Hudson Valley. And we're very lucky here. We have all you guys, all these people. We have a real source of people, and when we think of going into the future, that would be our real task to form, it's not just a byproduct of fighting disasters that we connect and like being around each other. It is the main task that we have.
Ubuntu.
Huh?
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
so nice.
Cannot prosper without you prospering.
Mhm.
You lead
Yeah.
embody that.
Yeah, that's those little children sitting around with their feet pointing into the circle.
Yeah.
I s-
Concept,
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
And it happens to be, how are we on time? You know? Yeah? You have to give me an idea.
3 minutes now.
It's about time.
It's about, well, I mean, we haven't, I mean, you know, I'm a little bit different. I grew up in a family of 13 kids. Same parents, you know, one family.
Bravo.
So I learned a lot about conflict resolution. Kids who grow up in single families don't learn. And yet at the same time, that's what we're faced with, is how to form communities as the main purpose of being together, as I said, not just the byproduct, but the main purpose of being together when we're doing our saving the universe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about connecting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you can connect in so many ways. And once you make that connection, even if it's, you know, a kind comment to a clerk in a store, and they relate to you, well, that link stays with you. So, and everyone you come in contact with, you're creating this like network of love, you know, and then that person connects with someone, and this network connects like that, and that's another kind of community.
Well, that's what I would like to leave us with, is to really be thinking about what that looks like for us as a local community or area. Like what you just said, and I totally agree with it. You know, it's saying, greeting somebody in the store, that advances the universe microscopically. But you know, as I say, you know, saying, you know, like if you say hello to somebody nicely, that's what we're talking about. But if you say hello to a lover who's walking into the house, you know, that changes your whole immediate surroundings. And it's that kind of energy force of all of us together, and that's what I'm throwing out to all of us locals about. That's our future, forming tighter communities that support each other. It's not so critical right now, but 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, when there's mass migrations because of this and that, it's going to be very, very, it's the key. Amen. That means